I'm still reeling under the onslaught of wisdom that we experienced in the first 45 minutes on the stage. And I think all of us would have learned quite substantially. To begin with, let's bring about a small change. I heard the speakers coming in wishing all of you good morning, and I did not hear anybody wishing them back. So is there any reason for that? Okay, so since our chief guest was speaking about happiness as the core philosophy, and happiness should be the reason for education to happen, happiness should be the driving force of human life. From today onwards, let's stop wishing each other good morning. Anyway, good is not getting a good response. And after good, there is better. After better, there is best. So why wish something inferior? So let's start wishing each other happy morning, happy afternoon, and happy night from today onwards. And let's see if it brings a little change. So I'm going to wish you all, and let's see if you wish me back. Happy morning. Happy morning. So it works. Happiness really works. You're right. The speakers before me spoke about what should be done. And I have been a blessed student who had exceptional teachers who showed how it should be done. It was class 8. My history teacher's name is Mrs. Rangamani. Now, Mrs. Rangamani was a South Indian who used to speak with an absolute South Indian accent. You know, when you ask a South Indian who has a South Indian accent to spell certain things, for example, H is never H. H is? And S is never S. S is? Yes. We used to make a lot of fun of Mrs. Rangamani, and we would ask her, "Ma'am, could you please spell minimum for us?" And the whole class will now wait for Mrs. Rangamani to spell minimum. And our seniors have told us that whenever Mrs. Rangamani's first period is there, ask her the spelling of minimum. And Mrs. Rangamani would say something like this: yum yai, yum yai, yum you, yum. And all the children will have the time of their life. She was playful. She knew what the children are doing. She didn't mind making fun of herself. And she excelled as a teacher. See, you know, this mistake is a bonding process. She never attempted to correct her accent. I left Hartley's High School in Calcutta in 1986. And from 1983 to 1986, Mrs. Rangamani taught us. Every year in West Bengal Board of Education, out of the top 10 students who are scoring in history, at least 3 would be Hartley's High School and 3 will be Mrs. Rangamani students. How would she teach? This is about how she would bond. How would she teach? I remember one lesson very clearly, and this was in class 10. She was talking to us about Aurangzeb and Shivaji. Most of her classes would begin with, "Today I am not in the mood to teach. But anyway, principal's office is close by. So if I only make all of you laugh, she will know I am not doing my good job. So I need your cooperation. चलो फटाफट सीख लेते हैं, फिर ना बहुत मजा करेंगे." Now imagine a teacher starting the session by saying, "चलो फटाफट सीख लेते हैं, मेरा पढ़ाने का मूड ही नहीं है." Cooperation of children will be at its peak. And then she would say, "Today I am supposed to teach you about Aurangzeb and Shivaji. So फटाफट बता दीजिए." One very interesting episode. Shivaji was invited by Aurangzeb to Agra. And then he was put behind bars. and then she would begin the lesson. Shivaji was put behind bars. He was sentenced to death. His son Sambhaji was also there with him. Imagine the agony of the father, and imagine the agony of the child. There were 7 rounds of sentries around Shivaji, which means no possibility of escape. Small kings with alliance to Shivaji had decided to break free. In Shivaji's capital, his mother started crying and his wife started preparing to wear only white clothes. Everybody had given up except Shivaji. He kept on scheming how to escape. And then all of you know the story. He sent sweets, he sent fruits, and one day he escaped. And Mrs. Rangamani would say, "Bas, isse zyada padhane ka man nahi hai." Now let's talk about life. She would say, "Padhane ka man nahi hai," and a 40-minute period, for 35 minutes she will teach. And last 5 minutes would be this. What do you think was the mind of Shivaji when he was put inside the bars, behind the bars? What do you think Shivaji was thinking? Why he did not give up? What made him so strong? If you have to be Shivaji in life, what kind of a mind do you need? And she asked the class, is there anybody who has given up in life in anything? I was the head boy of the school. Our school had about 3,000 children. And like a stupid ass, I raised my hands. Achha, why are all of you so happy about it? Anyway. And she asked me, "Narendra, you're the head boy of the school. Why did you give up?" I said, "Actually, man, you know what happened? Class 9th, my father had promised me that if I come first in school, he'll buy me a cycle. I studied really hard. I came first. I went to my Bapu and showed him the results and said, I've come first, now buy a cycle. My father, a businessman, said, Abhi thoda tight hai. There are 2 kinds of tights in our country. One is economically tight. Goa, this is more tight, okay? So my father said, "Abhi बहुत tight चल रहा है, अभी पैसा नहीं है, तेरे को 10th के बाद दूंगा." I didn't have the nerve to argue with my father. I did go to my mother and attempted to make her my supporter. My mother very deftly, having been married to my father for 20 years, said, "Beta, this is between you and your father, don't involve me." So I told Mrs. Rangamani, even today I am disappointed. And I am not very sure whether I will study very well this year or not. Just like you are saying, when you know you have to pass the child anyway, why to go through extremes to teach the child? Anyway, if I don't get a reward, my rebellion is I am not going to study well. Mrs. Rangamani told me, if Shivaji did not give up, how can you give up? I just taught you about Shivaji. She said, the year when Shivaji sits on the throne is going to be a 2-mark question out of 100 marks. You get it wrong, makes no difference. But if you don't have the character of Shivaji inside you, even if you get that answer right, in life it will make no difference. It was Thursday. It was Wednesday. Our schools used to have Thursday and Sunday holidays. And she immediately told me, by Monday, you will have to come to the school with a cycle. Go. That is the time when I realized I was such an idiot to raise my hands. Kai ko hath uthaya? Till now, there was only one dukh in life. Now there is one more. How to convince my Babu? Went home, but the mind started working. My uncle had just got married. His wife's name was Shanti, though she used to get angry very soon. Some people have that mismatch between their name and character. But she was a very fine lady. For some strange reason, she used to like me. And I told her, Chachi, आप कुछ बताइए ना, क्या कर सकते हैं? What can be done? And in a flash, memory came. 2 days ago, Chachi had made one Marwadi khana at home, dal bati churma. Anybody here who have eaten dal bati? Some of you have. And my father became so happy with her cooking. Papa had told her, Shanti, तेरे हाथ का इतना अच्छा खाना बनाया ना, तू कुछ मेरे से मांग ले. And my chachi had told, नहीं भाई साहब इसमें क्या है, ये तो आप लोगों का आशीर्वाद है, तो हो गया है, आपको पसंद आया, भगवान मेरे ऊपर मेहरबान है, इससे ज्यादा मुझे क्या चाहिए? You know those usual exchange of dialogues. And I thought, what if I can convince my chachi to make dal bati again? What if Papa likes it again? What if Papa makes the same statement again? But this time I will train my chachi to ask for a cycle. I did that. Chachi also happily said, "Beta, तेरे लिए कुछ भी करेगी क्योंकि तू अच्छा लगता है मेरे को, तू पढ़ाई में अच्छा है." Next day she invited Papa for dal bati churma. Papa got a little puzzled. 3 दिन पहले खिलाया था आज वापस. Same to same. But he didn't know the larger strategy. Now Shivaji was inside me. Anyway, Saturday morning dal bati churma was there. Anyway, it was made well. Papa was completely enjoying it. I have never prayed as hard as I have prayed that morning. Papa said, Shanti, तेरे को उस दिन भी बोला था, आज वापस बोल रहा हूं. कुछ मांग ले. The intensity of my prayers increased. My chachi should not forget. This is my idea. In case she asks something for herself. Fortunately, she was a woman of her words and commitments. She said, Bhai Sahab, if you really want to give something, please buy a cycle for Narendra. Now it was time for my father to become a Shanti. Smart fellow he is. He immediately said, "Oh, ये पूरा नरेंद्र का काम है. उसी ने तेरे को किया है." I was shivering. But my chachi said, "नहीं, आपने मुझे वादा किया है, आपको करना पड़ेगा." In anger, Papa said, "ठीक है, अब भी कभी चल." And my mind was, if you are angry or not angry, I don't care, but cycle चाहिए. I can't go back to school without a cycle and get disrespected by 3,000 children. I'm the head boy of the school. We went to buy the cycle. I thought it will be BSA, SLR, you know, that supremely beautiful looking cycle. And what did my father tell the cycle wala? ऐसी साइकिल दो जो जब तक मैं जिंदा हूं वो टूटे नहीं. Can you imagine a buyer matching purchase of a product with his own expiry date of the product and expiry date of the person? I mean, incredible. I didn't get the bike of my dreams, but I don't know whether it happens in Goa or not. But you know, in Calcutta, we used to have these dudwalas who used to have that big thing behind with 4 hooks, and those 20 liters of cans of milk would hang from all sides. Do you know what I'm speaking about? I was given that side. Because dudwalas time and tested, it's not going to break. Not an issue. I went to the school with that cycle. Mrs. Rangamani announced this in the school assembly. Of course, I didn't tell them the entire story. She just said, students should be like Narendra. Teacher gives a task, he does it and comes. and learn from him. He's not bought a fancy cycle. He's bought something out of his hard-earned father's money, and he's respecting his father's hard-earned money. This is called respect by default. Not indeed. I got a lot of applause, a lot of respect, a lot of admiration from people, and I became the favorite of Mrs. Rangamani. I topped class 10 exams. I topped class 12 exams, and I wanted to be a chartered accountant. For Marwadis, these accounts and numbers comes very easily. Whether they use it legally or illegally is a different matter. But after becoming a chartered accountant, I wanted to be either the finance minister of our country or I wanted to be the governor of RBI. I wanted two goals. Why governor of RBI? Because his autograph is there in many notes. So I thought, कितना अच्छा रहेगा ना पूरे देश के पास अपना autograph रहेगा. मतलब, what can be more cool than this? After 12th, our family, which was actually a rich family, we used to stay in a 3-floor building. We used to have 2 chauffeur-driven cars, and I'm speaking about 35 years ago. The ship in which we were exporting materials to Bangladesh sank. The person who was in charge of insurance was tight. We had exported more than 100 ships till then. Not a single one of them had got any accident. And these 3 ships, where insurance was not there, sank. My future was brilliant. I got admission into St. Xavier's, Calcutta. I was looking forward to the rest of my life. And everybody used to tell, looking at me, that this boy will actually make his dreams come real. They had tremendous faith and confidence in me. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th accounts, I had always scored 100 and 100. Everything was over. Our 3-floor home was sold. My mother had more than 200 tolas of gold, except for 1 gram, which she tied in a black thread for suhag around her neck. More than 200 tolas were sold. I went with my mother to sell it. And even after all this, we were left with minus 45 lakhs as debts. And this was 1988. My friends, I couldn't ever go to a college to study. I studied till 12th. When I was standing in the line of Xavier's for my admission, my 2 very good friends, Jatinder Pal Singh Grewal and Sanjay Sharma, who were standing a little behind me. I was the 6th in the line, they were about 75th. And Xavier's is like Mecca for chartered accountants. If the national average for CA is 2%, St. Xavier's Calcutta average is 35%. They have college from 6 a.m. till 9:30, and then every child has to compulsorily go and work somewhere. And therefore the theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge is gained side by side. Pala, my friend who was there somewhere behind, called, "Hey, where is Nadu?" Friends can give other friends impossible pet names. And they used to call me Nadu. And Sharma said, "Malum nahi kidhar hai Nadu." Father Peter, who was the principal at that point of time, was walking there, and he said, "Who is Nadu? I've never heard this name." I came out of the line saying, "Father," and say, "You want to study in Xavier's? And you have a name like Nadu?" "Sorry, Father, my name is Narendra." "Show me your certificates." And Father was a very, very strict man. I thought my chance of Xavier's is gone. I started cursing my friends. I was very active in school. I used to represent my school in 6 sports and 7 co-curricular activities. So I had a certificate box, not a certificate file. Father looked at me and asked me, are all these originals? I was speechless. I was so scared. He said, in 10 minutes, come to my room. It was about 9 in the morning. 9:30, the counters would open for admission forms. I went inside. He was speaking to some people on the phone. Didn't ask me to sit down at all. After about 5 minutes of hushed conversations, he looked at me and said, I just read your character certificate given by Miss Ila Mukherjee of your school, your principal. Looks interesting. And he told me, I'm going to do something that I've never done in my 40 years of life as a teacher. I'm going to give you admission without an admission test. And he said, go home and tell your parents to be very proud of you. For in 125 years of St. Xavier's, Calcutta, you will be the second boy to get an admission without an admission test. I was very thankful to my friends. Went home running. Remember that cycle of mine? In that cycle? I was bouncing up the 3rd floor where we used to stay, and I heard my uncle screaming at my father, if you can't repay money, why do you take money? And that is when I realized I cannot study anymore. My father went into a state of shock. He couldn't speak for 45 days. He lost 14 kgs in 28 days. One of my uncles who used to appreciate me quite a lot, he always used to say, you are the future of our entire khandan. He was a very rich man. He had 7 cement factories. I went to him and asked him, Uncle, can you give me a job? Papa is not able to work. There's no money at home. I need anything which can give me a few hundred rupees. Studies is not a possibility. If I have to be a chartered accountant, I have to study for at least 6 years. First 3 years BCom, then 3 years CA, and then at least 2 years to establish myself. Money will start rolling in the family after 8 years. And we need money today. Kuch kaam milega kya? My uncle made me sit. In Calcutta, we have something called shikanji, nimbu pani. Gave me one glass and said, Beta, we are relatives. The only job for a 12th pass in my office will be of a watchman. And if I come in my car, my driver honks, you have to open the gates. Beta, it doesn't look nice. So I'm sorry. No job for you. Everything was dark. Life looked impossible. But for Mrs. Rangamani's words, if Shivaji could do it, and if I have taught you about Shivaji, you cannot give up in life. To cut a long story short, went to Chennai. Somebody gave me a job of a salesman in a sari shop, saying there is no education required for a salesman. All you need is an ability to talk. He offered me a job at 250 rupees per month. I used to stay in a room which was infested by rats in the night. Both my legs have at least 50 marks of rats biting when I was sleeping in the night. A few months of very hard life, very, very hard life. And I'm used to luxuries of life. Again, to cut a long story short, it took us about 9 years. 9 years repaid all the money. Bought another home for my parents. Today I stay in Pune. We do really well. We have a training organization called Life School, where the motto of that organization is Let's Inspire. With this belief that when a person is inspired in life, they can't see obstacles. They can't see challenges. They only search for possibilities and they only seek solutions. This training organization is possible because of my teacher, Mrs. Rangamani. Class 10. When I was announced as the head boy of the school, I didn't have courage. I didn't think I'm capable of managing 3,000 children. My benchmate in class 9 used to be a boy called Sudhir Rai. And Sudhir's brother was the most dreaded criminal of Calcutta. And Sudhir used to bring to school sometimes Rampuria. 3-inch wooden blade and then a 9-inch steel blade. If somebody puts one Rampuria inside somebody's stomach, it comes out effortlessly the other side. And I was thinking, I have to discipline these boys? Something happens, his brother comes with one Rampuria. I don't want to die so soon. So I went to Miss Ila Mukherjee, the principal of our school, and told her, ma'am, I don't think I'm capable enough of becoming the head boy. I've stood first in my class, 9A. But Sanjeev Joshi in 9B has scored 0.1% more than me. So on 9th level, he is more than me. I'm 0.1 less. So please make Sanjeev the head boy. Miss Ila Mukherjee used to wear specs. Those specs where people, when they talk to you, they don't look through the specs. You know what I mean? That chashma which is on this bridge. And when they talk to you, between the eyebrows and the chashma. Miss Ila Mukherjee looked at me and said, Narendra, you have no idea how good you are. Just go and do your job. Dismissed. No further conversation. Full year, she was the principal, I was the head boy. We have spoken in chits. And she has never spoken one more word to me. But this phase of my life when I was in Chennai struggling, every now and then if the thought would be, nahi ho sakega, it is too big, Miss Ila Mukherjee's voice would go inside over here. Narendra, you have no idea how good you are. Just go and do your job. What was my job at that point of time? That's exactly what I did. 2001, we started a movement in Pune called Keep Moving Movement. That is what is written on my shirt here. What is Keep Moving Movement? It's a volunteer-based movement where today we have about 550 volunteers across 14 cities in India. We have a 7-session training program where we train teachers and we train students in schools free of cost. This year we have trained about 20,000 children in 14 different cities free of cost. What do we teach them? We teach what Ila Mukherjee taught me. We teach what my history teacher, Mrs. Rangamani, taught me. This year we had subjects like, impossible is always temporary. Impossible is never permanent. This year we had subjects like, how to choose a friend. This year we had a subject like, what will happen in life if the anchor of our life is no blame, no complaint, no excuse. Just imagine, if the attitude of our life is no blames, no complaints, no excuse, what happens to life? We asked the children inside the class, corporation school children, where the average marks of the class is 38%, that if you stop blaming, complaining and giving excuses, what do you think can be done? One child, 16-year-old girl, wearing clothes which are 3 sizes bigger than her body, got up and said, I can even become the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. You know what happens? When I give somebody a capacity to dream, impossible becomes possible. They will figure out a way. They are smart enough. Miss Ila Mukherjee and Mrs. Rangamani didn't tell me what to do. Neither should she tell me how to do. She just gave me a belief you can do. And everybody today is smart enough to figure out a way. And I'm speaking about 1986, 1989. No technology. For 7 months after I went to Chennai, I couldn't even speak to my parents. I had no idea what they're going through in life. Those days, every home did not have a phone, and the phones used to have trunk call booking. Some of you would remember that time, lightning calls, trunk calls. There was no money to eat, forget about making phone calls. In today's world, thanks to technology, life is much more connected. If we can make the children believe that they have it in them, you have no idea, a smart child inside your classroom might go through a tough time tomorrow, and somebody who's going through a tough time today might become the smartest the world has seen. After all, APJ Abdul Kalam did not come from a fancy school. He came from a village which had 500 people. Anybody can achieve anything. But everybody needs somebody to believe in them. You have one person in your life who believes in you, and in their eyes, if you see, they're seeing something in you. What he spoke about, hidden talent. If a teacher can do that to a child, you have no idea what you will be able to create. And you cannot understand who will need your belief in them. I came from a rich family. I had good grasping powers. I was a good student. I was a good sportsman. I was a good debater. Everything was going right in life. And in days, everything turned. If I didn't have a Mrs. Rangamani, or if I didn't have Miss Ila Mukherjee, maybe somewhere I would be begging in one of the squares of our cities. Maybe somewhere I would have chosen the path of violence. Maybe somewhere today I would be doing something earning 5, 7, 10,000 rupees. To drive this movement, keep moving movement, 550 volunteers, 20,000 children to be taught free of cost. That much money I am able to earn every year. Today there is no shortage of anything in my life. And I owe everything to my teachers. My parents loved me. But it's my teachers who saw that belief in me. In your classroom, there will be many Narendras. Every year, year after year. If one generation of teachers in our country decides to take it on their shoulders that we are going to develop this country, just one generation of teachers. We don't need government help. We don't need corporate sponsorship. We don't need anybody's charity. We just need one generation of teachers who will do their job, who don't have to struggle, who don't have to go out of their way. 40-minute period, 5 minutes. Just those words to somebody, you don't know how good you are, just go and do your job. Takes less than 10 seconds. You have no idea how powerful you are. When he said, when you like a teacher, it's easy to learn. That's it. And not just learn on how to score marks. But when you like a Mrs. Rangamani, and if she says, Naren, you can. I not only learn history, but I learn how to create history. So more than the bureaucrats, more than the politicians, more than the businessmen, more than anybody else, the power to change our nation effortlessly, with zero sacrifice, belongs to this segment of the society called the teachers. Let's do a great job, experience brilliant fulfillment in our hearts and in front of our eyes. Let's again see India in such a place where the whole world will say, the system of education, thanks to its teachers, is the best in the world. And let's go back to India to learn everything worthwhile that is there to learn. Thank you so much, Amisha.